a huge struggle for South Asian kids in general, no matter where they are around the world. Academics are usually like 90% of the time the most important thing, according to their parents. So like initially, like everyone else, I was very influenced by my parents and what my parents had to say about my career. I studied commerce in school. I didn't want to do it, honestly. Like, I think it would have been a better, fit for arts. But I chose to study commerce because I was told that had much better quote unquote scope. And I enjoyed it. I was good at it, but it wasn't something that I wanted to pursue further. But as pressures would have it, I studied accounting and finance. My father is a chartered accountant, and he thought it would make for a good profession for me because I was doing well in commerce. So I went to the UK and I studied accounting and finance. And I'll be completely honest, while my grades were fine, I was absolutely miserable because the concept of people studying something because their parents told them became very foreign in the UK. Everyone around me was doing it because they were really passionate about it. So when we'd have seminars or we talk about, what we're doing and what we're studying, I would feel really left out because people were, genuinely thinking of this as a career. They were very serious about this. And then there I was in the corner, like just doing it because, I mean, that's what my dad said. And I thought this would be great. So towards the end of my degree, I think in the middle, I also, in my third year, I went and I had two sets of internships. So one was in a journalistic field in Bahrain, and the other was with PwC. So when I was working, I mean, even when I finished those internships, although internships are probably like 2% of what you're going to experience in the real, sort of professional world, I just knew that this is not the career for me. I can't be someone who sits at a 9 to 5 job, even if auditing involves going to different offices. I just can't do this. This number crunching is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I sort of knew, even though I didn't tell anybody at that point, because I knew that would cause a lot of panic, obviously, because my parents had invested a good amount of money and effort into me studying accounting and finance. So I just knew it in my heart that this is not what I would continue with. So when I finished my degree, I'd already started applying to journalism programs for masters. And I broke it to my parents. And I have to be honest, it was not taken very well because it was a shock and nobody understood why I was doing what I was doing. I did try to explain how miserable I was, but it wasn't like, they didn't get it because, and that's something about our culture as well. We want our kids to have good jobs. We don't think about it as a career, as something they live and breathe.
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes, not just my parents, but like my immediate circle of friends told me that, well, it's just something you do during the day. Like, it doesn't matter. This is going to pay you well. Why are you can write on the side. And that is definitely not something that was calling out to me. And I knew I would probably be paid really well. I would probably be settled in a really nice place, but I would be utterly miserable. I just knew it. I knew it in my gut. And despite everything, I just waited for my results to come in from the journalism schools. And I made it to the top, like the number one university for journalism at that point, which was University of Sheffield. When that came through, there was like some bit of confidence, and like my parents eased into it. And then I started studying journalism. I worked in the UK as well for a bit. And I knew that this was my calling. Like, I don't regret it one bit. So whilst like I was influenced by my parents and everybody around me at first, eventually I chose what I wanted to do because I knew I had to be happy doing, whatever I was doing. So yeah.
And I mean, there's because I that decision of moving between professions so early in your life, Arnita, I think that's not a very easy decision to make, especially when you think about. Um, I mean, as someone that's very young and that's ambitious and that has, we often tend to look at the people immediately next to us, and we don't want to do it, but we make comparisons, and
Mhm.
I think the indicator we look at is how big or how comfortable or how much money they're making, rather than if it's aligned to who they truly are, right?
Mhm.
And you can be successful in so many different ways, right? You don't have to be successful, and that is something that I see coming through in your journey, right? This ability to constantly experiment and be okay with taking experiments or like taking a particular path, but then if it doesn't seem to work out, making that shift. But I feel like in your journey, Arnita, I know you were at Newcastle for your first
Mhm.
degree, which is in North England, and then Sheffield
Mhm.
is closer to Manchester, which is a little further down south. But